Now I'll move on to our one-on-one conversation with Sanjay. So Sanjay, since you've just been through what Shashwat took you about regarding the research and how adaptability was the main theme of this. So if you have to look back at what you are doing and your organization is doing, what does adaptability mean to you today?
Yeah, you see, so first of all, again, Shashwat, thanks. That was really very insightful and very useful. Yasmin, as Shashwat talked about, the role of HR not only has changed and evolved because HR itself has driven it, but I guess the entire business transformation today has put HR in the front and center of several business critical decisions and outcomes.
True.
And hence, I guess the first thing which needs to change, we've been changing in our organization from an adaptability standpoint, is that we need to see HR not just as driver of some kind of service delivery or even employee experience, which Shashwat talked about. I would actually say employee experience, and also probably even before that, client experience. So I guess if you start looking at HR and start understanding that there's a direct link with your client experience in terms of what your HR does, what HR strategy is all about, then it's really all about adaptability and agility. And to me, it changes one fundamental thing. Mm-hmm. For ages, agility in HR, indeed, for that matter, in most of the enabling functions, as we call it, or as we've been calling it, has been, there's a business problem and how do you respond to it and how quickly you do it and how well do you do it is what we typically define as agility. But I think if you put on the lens of HR driving client experience, then you understand that HR actually has to go out there proactively and identify opportunities, and based on that opportunity, really, create a changing ground and then lead the organization through that change. To my mind, that is the agility that HR needs to show. Never more highlighted than in the current context of this whole pandemic, which is impacting the world. I can take several examples, but I'll stop here and if there's any follow-up question.
Yes, absolutely. I think you're so true. Employee and HR has to play that. It has to do the outside in role and the inside out role as well nowadays. And I think employee experience and how you manage employees in this time is very, very critical. Shashwat, what are your views on that?
So I will actually echo what Sanjay said, because HR has a role of providing service and has a role of enabling experience, but that's a very small component of who HR is. Yeah. And to Sanjay's point, that these are means to an end. So for example, employee experience itself is not to be measured for employee experience, should be measured for productivity gains, the impact you create and end impact of client satisfaction. And in many ways, across industries, it's measurable. So if that's not happening, you cannot go out and say you are delivering employee experience because employee experience is happening and there is a measure around it. Yeah. You are gaining feedback. It's not credible. So Sanjay's point is really on the ball there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And as the saying goes, the great employee experience will automatically result in a great customer experience as well. So,
and Yasmin,
yeah.
Sorry if I interrupted, but let me just kind of illustrate that. And it's not just through employee experience. I mean, what you're saying is right, but it's not just that. So let's talk about the current situation. I guess one of the decisions that across the world today companies are taking, CEOs are taking, CHROs are taking, the entire CXOs are taking, do we move people to work from home, or as things, unlock, do we bring people back to office? And, you have several papers being written about what's going to be the future of work, and it's going to be work from home, or is it work from office? Now, I guess either way. So let's take an example of return to office, as we call it. I won't say return to work because everybody's been working, I guess, doubly so. That's what people are claiming even from home. But you see, so when we started in our organization, for instance, looking at the prioritization matrix, so who are the people we want to bring back? So let's take, for example, India. the government very clearly, kind of notified percentages. So there's 15%, then it became 33%, 50%, and now I believe, in many states you can bring back all people. But who do we prioritize, right? And then we looked at many factors. So the factors could be client criticality, or those people who are unable to work from home, or those processes which are very complex, in the IT, ITS industry where I come from. And then we realized, and I'm sure many organizations did that, at the top of the priority matrix sat employee health and safety, right? And you see, a lot of people, when they look at it, they'll say, okay, you know what? So when it's coming from HR, that means you look at employee safety first and the client interest takes secondary, that's fine. But that is not the point. That's not the way it plays out. So let's look at it. Exactly the point Shashwat said. If you focus on your employee health and safety, then what you're doing is you're ensuring business continuity. The flip side, unfortunately, if it happens, is you send in people back. One employee, I hope it doesn't happen, but one employee falls unwell, gets impacted by this disease, you have to move everything back, and the client operations actually goes 3 steps back. So really, it's not so much just the employee decision, it's equally and probably more in the client interest. So the point I'm trying to make is that HR putting on this client experience lens is actually the true driver of agility and adaptability, and that kind of brings in employees and clients and the entire business. So truly being a business player.
Yes, absolutely. Completely agree with you. So Sanjay, Shashwat took you all the highlights of the research, some 10 points he mentioned specifically. So which of these trends do you think resonate the most with you, and what are you doing currently in your organization?
Yeah, you see, so look, I mean, clearly, my most favorite statement which Shashwat said today, and what he's been saying for many, many years, that HR transformation is about business transformation. So I'm not going to go into details. Shashwat spent a lot of time on that. But really, if you want to transform your business, you have to start from HR. If you look at my organization, EXL, one of the first areas which we agreed to digitize was HR, right? The second point is, and I don't know how much detail is kind of going to be shared in this conversation, but if you see Shashwat's report and otherwise, what is most interesting, and for me what is really important, is this play of robotics and artificial intelligence today in HR transformation. The reason is very simple. Look, I mean, there's 2 ways of looking at this. You have technology and you apply it and you transform HR. On the other hand, you look at the need and the requirement for transforming the business, and then you say, okay, what technology I need. The challenge today many of the organizations face is that a lot of the HR technology which gets implemented, I'm not saying which is available, which gets implemented, are really still straightforward transactional. And as they are transactional, it's basically what it does is it takes away your routine repetitive work, right? Now, what that means is it is still HR operations. You just, changing people with machines or with technology, right? So what was HR operations becoming digital HR? But this point about field HR, which Shashwat talked about, we call it line HR, field HR, employee relations, whatever. There is some decision making happening. There is intelligence happening. And why you need these people on the ground is because they are able to emote, talk to people, which is why, if you ask me, the connect between pure play operations, service delivery, ticketing platforms kind of things, versus, the people touch, the HR touch, the connector between that is this artificial intelligence underlaid by robotics. And that to me is really important. Frankly speaking, from a corporate standpoint, and from I lead digital HR operations for EXL as well, apart from capability development. And that is my number 1 need area. If today I can have technologies which can help in a sentient fashion, in a very, intelligent fashion, interact with my employees, learning, employee engagement, query resolution, that takes a lot of my needs and addresses that.
Absolutely agree. So how much has this digital transformation initiatives, how much have they accelerated in this recent few months?
Yasmin, this is a very good question you're asking. I just think that what was happening is that the need was always there, but we've never able to, across, and it's not just in HR, across digital, we keep on hearing, there was this big research from Deloitte that we haven't really fulfilled the promise of digital. What's really happened is this whole situation, it's like a switch which went on, right? Organizations had no choice but to fall back on digital, right? Yeah. So, frankly speaking, if you ask me, there were always people in organizations who were pushing for digital, and there were people, there was no one who was saying no, but then there were people who were, kind of still used to the old. I think what this situation has done is thrown us from that, bit of state of inertia, because there is no place for inertia today. You have to really change and put us into a position where we have to probably drive majority of our interactions, of our engagement, of our conversations digitally. Just one more point I want to add, we didn't talk about it. The other role of HR, and I think that's not what we are famously well known for, is data, right? So the whole thing about the importance of data and whether we have it in one place and how we are managing it, how are we, extracting it, and how are we kind of analyzing that and bringing insights to the organization. Never before has it been put in so much of importance.
Absolutely agree. Shashwat, what would you like to add? I think we have a finding about how data-backed decisions are going to be really critical, right? So maybe you'd like to say something on that.
No, I will say, Sanjay, too many points here, and great points. So to Sanjay's point, I think in many ways the digital has been switched from being very important to being urgent. Before today, it was very important, but it was not urgent enough. So that has happened. The other point around that, the value of right digital is to enable, how do you enable faster decision making and avoid kind of errors, but by individuals, whether it's field HR or HR BPs. So how do you kind of even make them right all the time and gain that confidence in them so that they are able to execute things faster? Obviously, it will be program level, but fundamentally you need to amplify that impact. So great point. And all of that has to happen on data. It cannot be. So I think HR has to work through data to actually have all the credibility. And HR has more data than most other functions. So it has not been used and needs to be used.
Yes, agree. Thanks, Shashwat, for that. So Sanjay, my next question to you would be about, as we resume work and try to bring back normalcy, any of these trends do you see from this report specifically which will be amplified further?
Yeah, look, I think, again, nothing new in what I'm saying. I think all organizations today are debating, even if so the point being, the shift has really happened from a situation where you are forced to get employees home to a situation where thinking is around, even if we can bring back employees, do we want to bring them? Exactly. And there are several reasons. One, of course, a very major one is, the risk out there, right? But also very importantly, the benefits that organizations are starting to see, which were unforeseen, right, of working in a different fashion. So I think what's really going to happen is that we are going to start looking at digital, particularly in the field of HR, more from a innovation, more from a, getting ahead and adding value to employees rather than just, the typical thinking was about HR service delivery, right? So I think it's going to move more than that. So that is one, clearly, as I see it. The second is, I also think that this whole, while we say it's HR and one HR, but in my experience, I've seen many times HR gets played out and probably a little siloed between the different functions within HR, right? So there are the COEs, Shashwat talked about, as even within the COEs, there is recruitment, there is capability development, there is compensation and benefits, and there are business HR operations. So I think the program view of HR, which is the integrated impact, that's probably going to kind of start playing out much more. So to that extent, again, digital is going to have to play a role. And I think the requirement from particularly from HR experts and also HR consultants and organizations such as Alight is really going to be more So it did start with, okay, HR technology, and then, coming and helping us in different projects or in different areas. It has evolved to, kind of advising organizations and telling them this is how you want to reimagine HR. But I think Shashwat, to organizations such as Alight and all HR consultants, who we've been working with as well as others, is now it's not just reimagining of HR based on the organization need, what the expectation is going to be and what the need is going to be. Also looking at how the world is going to change, not just, let's say, my organization is going to change, and bring in a view of the organizational change which needs to happen, and therefore then what HR needs, and not just limit themselves to HR. So, saying that HR is business and business is HR is one thing, which is very true. But in practice, what it really means is all the different players in HRs, including HR consultants, HR strategic thinkers, HR operations, everybody starts to look at where is the business moving and how is it going? What are the new areas that businesses are going to get value from, right? Everybody is thinking, which is going to be my new areas of value, right? And I'm not necessarily just talking about EXL. We're hearing every day today how, restaurant services organizations have started suddenly selling, hygiene products, or how payment services platforms are suddenly delivering, masks and sanitizers. So the point I'm trying to make is all organizations today are scrambling to find new areas of value generation. The big thing which I see changing is really that we will have to get far more outside in our thinking than what has happened till now.
What do you think, Shashwat?
A couple of things which Sanjay said earlier was that HR will need to sense the environment. So multiple changes are happening. So as Sanjay pointed out, I don't think there is a right answer. There will be a hybrid way of working in future, and that's an opportunity. Governments will start clamping down, so you will see more of nationalist tendencies and so on. So which is both an opportunity or challenge for, think of someone like EXL, which is a very global footprint organization and so on. So, and these are just two trends I'm talking about. There will be more health trends. We are already seeing trends around broader stakeholders than just shareholders being important, people talking about it and so on. So if all that starts changing, you will have to certainly change the HR function and the value being demanded from HR function. The value of HR function cannot be the same old value of services and some of the programs you run. So that whole value out of HR function will get recalibrated, and it's getting recalibrated. So it's a very powerful point. The other good thing which I have seen is suddenly, at least in Asia, the whole concern around cloud has gone away. So everyone is okay with cloud because now people prefer to be on cloud. But to Sanjay's earlier comment, the definition of HR stack has changed. So HR leaders are not asking for, so that's where Sanjay, when we kind of said why best of breed numbers are going up, we realize it's a new best of breed. People are not saying that we are going to have many platforms. We'll only have one platform in HR. But then the reality is that's not sufficient. You will have a service layer, you will have an AI ML engine, you will have a chat bot, you will have a document management or something. And as you add all of that, again, it's a new best of breed in HR. And people are saying, this is my full stack of HR. So it's an interesting evolution which is happening. So Sanjay, thanks as usual. Great points.
Yes, I totally agree. Great points shared by Sanjay and Shashwat, you too. So once again, I think from adaptable, business-centered, employee adoptions, data-driven, eventually everything is about business transformation, and HR will play a very, very critical role in it. So thank you so much for sharing your insights, Sanjay. It was a pleasure having you. Thank you, Shashwat. It was a pleasure having you too. So ladies and gentlemen, with this, the episode comes to an end. I really hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we did curating it for you. Thank you once again, Sanjay and Shashwat. It was a great conversation, and see you all in the next episode.
Thank you, Yasmin.
Thank you, Shashwat. Sparkling as ever, and thank you so much, Yasmin, being a great host.
Thanks. Thank you.